So I saw something on my recommendation and decided to click on it. I may not have posted a lot of horror games onto my channel. No, yes, yeah, maybe so. I've done a decent amount of horror stuff, from multiplayer to single player, obviously to the Resident Evils and stuff like that. But before my YouTube journey, I actually played a lot of horror games, from Silent Hill, Outlast, Evil Within, Vampire, something like that. It was a PS3 game, or Rain was it called? There's a lot of things I played growing up that were horror based, and they were traumatizing. The jump scares, all that kind of, I hated them all, but it was still a rush that I always looked after. There's a video that I saw on my recommendation called 10 Terrifying Rooms in Video Games We Never Forgot. The main picture is from Resident Evil 4, so I'm like, you know what? Let's go watch this video. So let's do this together.
Video games are put together as a series of experiences, and in a horror game, that means, in a lot of ways, a series of rooms. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, 10 of the most terrifying rooms in horror games. Starting off at number 10, Prey 2017's Looking Glass Station. Now, for a game that's not actually that scary most of the time, Prey still manages to master one aspect of horror that most games don't, and I'm talking about jump scares. It's a game built for jump scares, and it does them well. The most common enemy in the game is the Mimic, little monsters that can disguise themselves as random objects in the environment and attack you if you get close. Just knowing these things are out there adds this sense of dread to the game. You never really know when one will pop up. And the second you guard down, it always seems like one jumps in your face and puts you on edge again. Not all of the jump scares in this game are random though, like this specially crafted one that takes place in the psychotronics section of the station. If you take the time...
Oh my god. So I just remembered I used to play Dead Space 2 to be exact. That was my first introduction to Dead Space. I never played part 1. I just went straight into part 2, and I used to scream with the fact that you will see an enemy's corpse on the floor, shoot at it, nothing happens, but when you approach it, then it activates. Because typically a game that had that rule of thumb, if you force interact with it, like throw an object at it or shoot at it, it will come alive. Dead Space 2 was the only game that I have ever seen or ever played that had a mechanic that even if you do interact with it at not the distance level, but at a physical level with gunshots or throwing an object at it, and never reacted until you actually approached it. That was revolutionary to me and terrifying.
Time to explore the Looking Glass room. You'll find this big screen with a calibration button. Keep pressing them, the button disappears, the screen cuts out, and a monster appears like it's going to attack you before disappearing again. And that's it. It's just
I had a heart attack.
Crafted jump scare. Just when you think you're safe and it's a fake out, an actual monster appears at the top of the stairs. You really can't trust anything in Prey, not even the touchscreens. And number 9 is the Resident Evil 4 Remake's Regenerator Room. These guys were bad enough in the original.
Oh my god,
game,
yes.
but the remake managed to make the first appearance of them even more tense. There's a slow build-up as you wander the halls of the lab, which seems empty other than this unnerving breathing you hear. Now, you never actually see this thing around, but oh, you can hear it. The dissection room contains the first key card you need, and grabbing it makes it so the regenerator appears right in front of you, busting through the door as you're about to leave the room. This thing is way more aggressive and dangerous in this game. In the original, it was just a matter of running past it, but in the remake, you have to backtrack through the lab multiple times, which forces you to deal with this thing without the thermal scope. You know, the thing that makes it so you can target its weak points? Yeah, that, you can't have it. The buildup is disturbing, and then the actual encounter with this thing is terrifying, not to mention challenging. At number 8 is The Last of Us Part 2, the Safe Room Apartment. By Seattle Day 2, most players have settled into the rhythms of the game. You explore, deal with some infected, commit some horrible acts of murder, and then stop at a workbench to upgrade your gear. Just whistle while you work. Honestly works the same way as it does in most games. You got crafting stations, save points, item boxes, anything that's considered safe. There are places you don't need to worry or watch your back because the rest of the game is on pause when you're at them. For most of the game, that's exactly how it works too, except here. Haha! In this one random apartment that's completely optional, you try to use a workbench and you get ambushed by some survivors and you're forced to fight for your life. It's totally unexpected because it's one of those unwritten rules that you're left alone at workbenches. And now that illusion is just totally shattered. Of course, there's plenty of people out there that predicted that there was going to be some kind of attack. The game foreshadows it with a locked door in the apartment, but like a lot of people, I just thought it would be an ambush or something like when you tried to leave. Not that somebody would literally
did that happen? No, I don't remember that happening to me.
And just unexpected stuff like this keeps players on their toes. It's fantastic. I've seen at least one other game try to emulate it, but this is the type of thing I would love to see more of. And number 7 is
that person sucked.
The Bathroom is a hallway room. You know, while we're at it, is a hot dog, a sandwich. The bath thing I would love to see more of. And number 7 is PT.
Bro, PT was fucking trauma. That's beyond traumatizing. PT, that was the most beautifully crafted horror demo to have ever existed. And Konami fucking fumbled on letting Kojima leave. If they would have just shut the fuck up and let Kojima be Kojima and release that Silent Hill, bro, imagine the alternative universe that's probably out there that has that project. That PT player test, that's what it is, player test. That PT demo was hardcore enough to rival 99.9% of all horror games out there. So imagine if you would just let him just be him. And the fact that now we have Kojima and Peel working on a project together.
The Bathroom is a hallway room. You know, while we're at it, is a hot dog a sandwich? These are questions I'll leave up to the comments to decide. So while the nature of a hallway is left in contention, let's talk about what is absolutely a room and maybe the only real room in the game. This is a horror game with only 3 real locations: an empty basement where you always start, a hallway, an entranceway, and a bathroom. That's it. A basement, a thing that connects rooms, an entrance room, and a poopy room. That's all it needed to worm its way into the gaming subconscious as this all-encompassing thing. Even though when it came out, it was just meant to be a simple little teaser for the next Silent Hill game. The game got canceled, the promotional trial was delisted, and then PT passed on into legend. The fact it's well remembered is for good reason, though. The game's bizarre, inscrutable, and terrifying in a way few games are. The hallway and all its tricks get most of the limelight, but the bathroom is terrifying in its own right. It's a pitch black room with a bathtub filled with blood and a crying something in a sink. I don't know what to call this thing.
A fetus.
When the game locks in there, even though there's nothing actually dangerous, it's terrifying and overwhelming, and it's just from the sound design. All you can assume is something deeply messed up happened there, or it might even just be an elaborate Eraserhead reference. I don't know. It's really freaky either way. And number 6 is Condemned 2's The SCU Basement. A lot of creepy locations and games are a mess, like places that have fallen into total ruin, but not this one. Rather than being set in some darkly lit hellhole like most areas in the series, this place is clean, brightly lit, and safe. The basement floor of the SCU building looks bright and new, but it's creepy in the way a hospital at 2 in the morning is. The long hallways and even the lighting just really highlight how empty the place is. Even though there's really nothing scary going on, it's hard not to be a little on edge when you go down there. After examining a corpse, you're instructed to have your head examined in the MRI machine. This is where things get a little unsettling. Instead of a screechy jump scare, the game just has you settling into the machine, sitting in the darkness.
Still got me scared.
Nothing happens. You call out, nobody answers. You're just sitting there, unable to see anything, wondering what's going on.
Rosa, you still there?
When you finally emerge from the machine, the basement has gone dark. It's still mostly silent, but it's such an eerie environment to explore that it's easy to start jumping at shadows. The whole SCU basement segment isn't as bombastic as other moments in Condemned 2.
The worst thing you can do in games is silence. Or like water dripping. When you're in a very silent room in any horror game, and all you hear is the... You're there stuck at a puzzle. That brings a level of fear, intensity, and just... You just become very bothered and uncomfortable. That's an element that I haven't seen the game do in a little while, because they have like little ambient music in the background. We hear like little laughs or little whispers, like Amnesia. But when a game puts you in a room, it's just pure silence. And all you hear is your footsteps and the... That drives me wild.
But for pure creepy dread, this place hits harder than any other location in the game. At number 5, Silent Hill 4, The Room, Eileen's Head Room. This one's infamous. It's so freaky it somehow manages to beat out the literal room, the one from the title, as the game's scariest room. Found randomly behind one of the second floor doors, this room is exactly what it sounds like. You go inside, and it focuses on your guy in the door you just came in from. It seems normal. You walk forward a few steps, and the camera swings around to show you this. A giant head of Eileen, the girl you're trying to save, covered in scars and lesions, with her eyes twitching out like crazy. Running into this thing randomly is a shock to the system. There is nothing else this bizarre and abstract in the game, not even close. And while it doesn't actually do anything, it's just so bizarre that it's gonna creep you out. This whole area feels like it's created to set players on edge, so when the game throws this at them, they're already in the headspace that's necessary to be freaked out. When I say randomly, I mean it. This thing shows up at random for every playroom, so you can't even intentionally avoid it if you want. The best you can do is turn around when you enter a room with heavy breathing. That's what gives this away. At number 4 is Amnesia, The Dark Descent, the storage.
Wow.
A lot of creepy parts in this game.
Yes.
For me, this is when the game goes from spooky and unsettling to horrifying, straight up. The storage area is an exercise in cruelty that for some reason makes it so your lanterns and candles barely work, so the entire place is shrouded in this supernatural darkness that you cannot escape from. That means you gotta navigate this horribly dark room in almost pitch blackness, all while monsters are roaming around looking to rip out your throat at the slightest provocation.
See what I mean?
It's a nightmare, plain and simple. And it took me forever to muster the courage to get from one side of the damn room to the other. For people who really just hate the darkness, this is not your thing. It doesn't get much worse than this.
Yep.
And number 3 is Scratches, the Boiler Room. This lesser-known horror adventure game is infamous for one thing, the game's only jump scare, which just so happens to be one of the most terrifying things ever put in a video game, at least back when it first came out. The entire game is built on atmosphere. The evil that inhabits the house is implied, and it's never shown up until the climax of the game when you finally muster the courage to go to the boiler room and crawl through the inactive furnace. That's when you find, well, something that's in the house in one of the most masterfully conceived jump scares of all time. Unless you've actually played the game, it's better to not see this, because just seeing the scene doesn't really do it justice. These days, it's just kind of a janky looking CGI monster, and I'm sure there's plenty of people who just seen it on YouTube and like rolled their eyes. The best way to experience it is actually playing the game, letting yourself get immersed in the creepy atmosphere of the house, and getting in the right headspace for the climax is one of the most terrifying moments that really only works in context. But with that said, it's one of the all-time greats. At number 2 is the bathroom from Eternal Darkness. It's the moment in this game that got everyone. If it's not the part where you think your screen is messed up or the time the game tries to trick you into thinking you deleted all your saves, this is the part everybody talks about. After finishing Chapter 3 and returning to the mansion, you're free to explore new parts of the house. Up until this point, the actual mansion part of the game's been pretty safe. There's not much to worry about, like enemies or your sanity meter. The mansion is the game's safe zone, at least that's what it seems like, until that illusion is shattered with this scene. You go into a random bathroom, but as you enter, you see a vision of your character Alexandra in the bathroom, her eyes rolled over and the hot tub filled with blood. This only flashes on the screen for a few seconds and it's gone, but that's all it took to make this moment very memorable. Comes out of nowhere, shows the player in a disturbing scene, and then moves on like nothing happened. Oh, but it happened. And then finally, at number 1, Silent Hill 3's Mirror Room. Man,
that's the one I played.
We had a lot of Silent Hill on this list. Even the teaser trailer for a Silent Hill game that never happened with Norman Reedus, directed by Hideo Kojima. You probably could put every main Silent Hill game on this list, but for me, the most terrifying of the original games is still Silent Hill 3.
Yep.
There's just something so uniquely unsettling about it. There's a lot of disturbing moments in the game, but if we're just talking about rooms, gotta mention the Mirror Room. Otherwise known as the storeroom, this is found on the 3rd floor of the Otherworld Brookhaven Hospital. This place is already a hellish abyss of flesh and rusted metal, but by this point in the game, you know that stuff. You understand it, you get it. I don't know if it's been there, done that, but the Mirror Room is really just something else. When you go inside, one side of the room is a giant mirror. It seems like there should be something there, but as you look around, the you that's in the mirror stops moving, and these red tendrils start crawling all over the surface of the room. As they spread all over the you in the mirror, the same tentacles start coming out of the basin on your side of the room. At this point, most people's instinct is to get out of there, but the door's now locked. Crap, you're trapped. There's no way out except for dumb luck, otherwise you're just stuck in the room while the red tendrils slowly cover everything and strangle the life out of you. It's bizarre and extremely unsettling, on top of being honestly pretty frustrating because it's basically an instant kill just for going in the wrong room. There is a way to escape, but it's gonna feel like dumb luck, which makes the room even stranger. As far as rooms go in horror games, it doesn't get a lot more evil than this.
Yep, happened to me once.
And that's all for today. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think. If you like this video, click like. If you're not subscribed, now's a great time to do so. We upload brand new videos every...
Alright, I'm already subscribed, so... But the thing is... Do you guys want me to subject myself to... horror stuff? Do you guys want me to do that for myself? And cry on camera? Let me know. Horror games, fuck man, horror games are just, yeah. Like with me with Outlast, I had bugs happen to me when I played Outlast for the first time when it first came out. I've played, like I said, I played Dead Space, Resident Evil 7, all the OG Resident Evils, talking for PS1 and Nintendo days. The dog scene coming from the window, from Nemesis coming from nowhere, from Nemesis busting into the wall in the police station, and the original Resident Evil 3. But if you guys want me to do horror games, let me know. Even though I don't want to, I will if you want me to. But on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed today's reaction. And just let me know in the comment section if you want me to do horror games, because I will. All right, until next time, guys. Love your faces. Peace.